Through with layoffs for more than 3,000 PEF employees, it will have a huge impact on my next guest district. He is Senator Neil Breslin, who represents Albany County. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Well, I'd like to say I'm delighted to be on, but not under these circumstances.
Certainly. This is going to have a very big impact if these layoffs move forward. Pink slips are going out. I believe they have got a month before the layoff axe actually falls on this. What sort of, just off the top, what sort of impact will this have on your district, on the Capital Region?
It'll have a tremendous impact on the Capital District. There'll be, I'm sure, don't have the exact numbers, but if you're talking about 3,500 neighbor layoffs, over 1,000 will be in the area, and that means additional numbers with parts of families, and it'll have just a dramatic impact on my district.
Were you surprised that this contract was voted down?
Frankly, I was, but not shocked. I think I was surprised, given that the CSEA contract passed 60-40. I thought that this would pass, and probably closer.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, one thing I think that we've seen here is that CSEA membership and PEF membership is very different in terms of its rank and file members. The folks from PEF all along, you know, we've seen them in blog comments on our blog, on other state government blogs. These folks seem to be more strident in their opposition to this contract. And why was that?
I don't know, and I don't know enough of the differences, but I would agree with the conclusion that they did appear to be more strident. But my job now is to be ready and willing to help PAF and or the governor's office to kind of see how we can correct it in the few weeks that we have before the layoffs become effective.
Should the contract be renegotiated? And I would imagine if there is, and the governor's office, we should be clear, hasn't said they would want to renegotiate a contract. They want to revote. Mm-hmm. But if there is a renegotiated contract, I would imagine the legislature would have to return to then approve that contract before, and then we have to go through that whole process again.
I would agree with that. And I'm not here to say I would advise the governor or advise PAF. My job is to be responsible to my constituents, and if a number of them are now slated to be laid off, it's to stand ready, willing, and able to do anything I can to bring the parties together, to tell them what to do when they get together. That really remains to be with them. We're in a very difficult economic period where everyone's sacrificing, and hopefully they'll come to a resolution.
The PEF leadership was criticized by the governor's office, actually, for what they said was not fully explaining the quote-unquote benefits of this contract, namely the idea that, okay, you're going to take a bit of a financial hit here with the 3 years without a pay increase and 9 furlough days over several years, including a greater share in the health insurance, but at the same time your coworker won't be laid off. Right. Is that a fair trade-off?
It isn't up to me to analyze and tell the union or tell the governor's office what's right or wrong. I saw the comment by the governor's office. I would suspect that PEF leadership would say we did everything we thought possible under the circumstances to explain to our membership so that they could make an informed vote. And the informed vote was no. Now, obviously, some of those people who voted no are people who were very upset, who knew that their jobs wouldn't be affected. I can't even get into that analysis. My job is to make sure, again, is to do anything I can to those people who will be dramatically affected, the ones who will be laid off.
All across this country, we've seen this kind of, I guess you could call it a dialogue or a debate about the role of public sector unions in state governments and local governments and like. New York did not take the track that some other states, namely, say, Wisconsin, have done.
Ohio, too.
Or Ohio as well, where they've kind of restructured the collective bargaining rights. Right. You know, do you expect to see next year a greater push for perhaps a change in that relationship with organized labor, or did the governor, you know, really take the smarter track of trying to negotiate on the terms of saying, look, we all need to make a shared sacrifice here?
I think the governor and did it within the confines of the laws that exist. I would hope and expect that no changes, dramatic changes, be made to the way we do business in New York State, particularly as it relates to comparing it to either Ohio or Wisconsin. I just hope the sides can put aside their differences, and if there wasn't enough explanation, possibly the route would be a revote, but that isn't up to me to say. is to continue to support both sides getting together to come to a resolution where there aren't those kinds of layoffs. The PAF and the CSA workforce have been cut dramatically over the last number of years. And they're the ones that protect our society. And they do it in environmental conservation, they do it in transportation, they do it in all the agencies. And they're an important component of why New York is the best state in the country.
Is there enough time to have a revote? We just talked about that, there being a month, essentially, before these layoffs begin. Is there enough time to kind of regroup and reorganize?
I certainly wouldn't consider it an optimum time, but crisis... during a crisis, we have to make do with what's available to us, and we have to move very quickly to make sure that we can do it within that time.
Okay, let's actually talk about some somewhat happier news. The other day, before this PAF contract was voted down, the governor announced a massive investment from major technology firms, and it's going to affect the capital region from the Albany Nanotech building here in Albany to a little bit up north in Saratoga County, Global Foundries. What sort of impact will that have on the region's workforce?
Hats off to Governor Cuomo and to Speaker Silver and to Alan Calieros at the University of Albany. It'll have a profound effect, and it further solidifies what we've done at Global Foundries and what we've done up to this point at nanotechnology. We are the capital. The Capital District is the top place for nanotechnology in the world.
But the state capital region, I should say, is still kind of known for being a public employee. Most of the people who live here tend to be employed by state government or by local government or something to do with state government. Is the region in some sort of transformation right now, and how long will that transformation take to being more of a technology-based workforce? I
think it isn't a substitution, it's an add-on. And I think that our economy and the Capital District becomes bigger and stronger because of this. And I wouldn't want to say that, well, the increase in nanotechnology or Global Foundries takes the place of a public worker. I want to think of it as supplementing and adding on to the public worker.
Okay, and just in terms of attracting new spin-off businesses, what sort of spin-off businesses would be attracted to something like this?
All you have to do is talk to real estate brokers who are licking their chops now to go out in this marketplace. And our average home sales haven't gone down the way it has across the country. And I think you'll just see a tremendous boost to our economy again because of it.
Okay. And just lastly, should the legislature return to Albany to take up unfinished business, and do you expect your colleagues to return by the end of the year?
Two answers. Absolutely. We have a health care exchange to deal with, which is critically important for the future of health care in our state. We should come back immediately. We have independent redistricting, which we should address, and we haven't. But having said that, there doesn't seem to be the kind of urgency, at least in my House with the Senate Republicans, to come back before the first of the year.
Right, but should there be a push, or should the governor be out there saying, hey, we need to get an independent redistricting commission? He said he only wants the legislature to come back unless there's a deal in place for the health insurance exchange, the redistricting commission. Should he be out in the forefront of saying, we got to get this stuff done?
Well, it's up to us, too. I'd love to have the governor doing that, but that's not his responsibility. I think the Senate Republicans should move to bring us back. The health exchange is one of the most critical elements in the new federal health care law changes. And we have the opportunity to, and it's a first-come, first-served basis, to apply for federal dollars. And we've benefited by the fact that other states are going slow as well. There's only, I think, 12 other states that have put in their applications for money, but the monies available from the federal government to the health exchange are on a first-come, first-served basis.
And in terms of redistricting, do you see the governor eventually vetoing those lines if he deems them unfair?
Absolutely, and everybody asks that question. I think the governor's been enormously clear that he will veto any kind of legislation that is drawn by the people who are most affected by it.
Won't that complicate his relationship with the Senate Republicans, who probably would need some sort of I don't want to say necessarily prefer Latford to draw those lines.
You're really saying that the only way the Senate Republicans can continue in office is if they draw their own lines.
That's one way of saying it.
Right,
sure.
It is. That's the way I would say it. And I would say that to anyone who asks that, no, they should be done fairly. And I can't be the judge and jury over my own conduct, and I shouldn't be the judge and jury over drawing the lines for myself.
Okay,
and that's what the Senate Republicans are trying to do.
Senator, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.